Dad, I'm gonna need this car in about 15 minutes. It's gonna be ready, isn't it?
Don't worry, it'll be ready.
You feeling okay?
Yeah, fine.
I don't know why I decided to change the oil right before I put it in.
You're not going anywhere till you clean that stuff up.
Just hope it's ready.
You could have helped him, you know.
I didn't even know he was gonna do it. Well, he's almost done anyway. Well, I'm out of here.
Have the car back by 7.
No problem. Dad! Dad just fell.
What?
Dad! Dad! Call 911.
Every year, cardiac emergencies claim hundreds of thousands of lives. But many lives can be saved through the prompt response of trained individuals and your local emergency medical services system. EMS is a network of resources and personnel that provides emergency care. When bystanders recognize an emergency and take action, they activate this system.
Yes, I need an ambulance. My husband just collapsed.
What's the phone number you're calling from?
By calling 911 quickly, the victim is given his best chance for survival.
Cardiac arrest, CPR in progress, 1205.
The EMS system functions as a series of events linked in a chain of survival. The survival and recovery of the victim depends on this chain of events.
Engine 11's responding.
This course is about professional rescuers like you.
They're on their way. Oh, my God.
Medic 15 responding.
Three more blocks, then make a left on Jameson.
Come on, Dad.
When care is being provided by citizens and professional rescuers, such as first responders, arrive quickly, the victim's chances of survival are greatly increased.
The engine 11's on the scene.
All right, stop impressions. No pulse, going to continue CPR.
This is Chief 11. We're on the scene of a cardiac arrest. Approximately 55-year-old male, citizen CPR in progress. How long have you been doing CPR?
About 5 minutes, maybe.
Okay, step back out of the way there.
Last 1201's returning from first due. Okay, 1201.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
Stop CPR.
The first responders provide basic life support, coupled with early defibrillation in an effort to save the victim's life.
Stand clear.
Stand clear. Push to shock.
Okay, shocking now. Nothing. Analyzing.
Stand clear.
Everybody stay clear.
The arrival of more advanced pre-hospital providers, such as paramedics, represents the next link in the chain of survival.
We've got something. Check a pulse.
Medic 15's off the scene.
Bag.
What do you got, Mickey?
We've shocked twice. We have pulses, but he's still not breathing.
Okay, go ahead and keep on bagging. Ray, go ahead and start an IV. Karen, I need a set of vitals. Okay, Ray, we still have an injunctional rhythm. You can go ahead and intubate him. Go ahead and hyperventilate him.
Pulse is 50 and weak. Blood pressure is 90/56.
Karen, let's recheck lung sounds, please. Ray, he's still in injunctional rhythm. Let's give him 0.5 milligrams of atropine.
Okay, we'll go with the atropine.
Lung sounds are okay.
Okay, Karen, Mickey, go get the stretcher. Medic 15 to loud in the ER.
Medic 15, loud in ER.
This is Medic 15. We're on the scene with a 55-year-old male patient, victim of a cardiac arrest.
Okay, the victim was successfully defibrillated by the engine company with a LifePak 300 prior to our arrival. Presently, the patient is
The paramedics act as an extension of the emergency department physician, providing advanced care to stabilize the patient.
Okay, we're gonna go back to bed 3. How's he doing?
Okay, he's stable right now. We've administered.
The chain of survival continues as patient care is turned over to even more advanced hospital personnel.
Pulse rate? Pulse rate is 76 and regular.
Rhythm.
Normal size rhythm.
Good. Any respiratory effort, Ray?
Yeah, he's made several attempts to breathe on his own.
Good. Let's get him on our monitor, please.
Okay.
Have EKG and X-ray been called? They have been called. We have a sinus rhythm rate is 66, no XP.
Good.
Okay, let's move him to our stretcher.
All right, we'll move him over on 3. 1, 2, 3.
The EMS system functions as an uninterrupted chain of people and resources working together to provide continuous emergency care. The professional rescuer plays a vital role in linking these people and resources.
The human body is not only a work of art, it's a work of precision. After generations of evolution, the basic systems of the human body have changed very little. The smallest living unit in the human body is the human cell. There are trillions of cells throughout the body, continually dividing and reproducing. Oxygen is essential to the life of all cells, and the body is organized to meet that requirement. As cells divide, they specialize to form different kinds of tissue. Tissues make up organs, and organs make up the various body systems. This video will review 3 of the major body systems. Understanding how these body systems function normally will help you see more clearly what is happening when body systems fail from sudden illness or injury. Let's begin by looking at the respiratory system. The respiratory system provides the body with oxygen, which all cells need to survive. When you inhale, you draw air into the lungs through the airway. The air moves into progressively smaller passages that end in millions of tiny, thin-walled air sacs called alveoli. Here, oxygen passes into the bloodstream, and waste products like carbon dioxide pass into the lungs. You expel these waste products from the body when you exhale. The average person breathes between 10 and 20 times a minute in a steady rhythm. We can observe respiration by watching the chest rise and fall as the lungs expand and contract. The cardiovascular system works with the respiratory system to carry oxygen to every cell in the body. The heart is the central organ of the cardiovascular system. It moves blood throughout the body through a huge network of blood vessels. Oxygen-rich blood moves from the heart through large vessels called arteries. Cells remove the oxygen through tiny, thin-walled blood vessels called capillaries. In exchange, waste products are absorbed into the blood. The oxygen-poor blood returns to the heart through vessels called veins and is then sent to the lungs where it is again replenished with oxygen. The cardiovascular system is driven by regular contractions of the heart muscle. A normal heart beats about 60 to 80 times per minute. With every heartbeat, a wave of blood moves through the blood vessels, creating a beat called the pulse. You can feel the pulse in places like the neck or wrist, where arteries pass near the surface of the skin. The most complex system in the human body is the nervous system. The nervous system includes the brain, the spinal cord, and a vast network of nerves. The brain controls every function in the body. The three primary functions are sensory, motor, and the integrated functions of memory, emotions, and use of language. The brain sends electrical impulses to the body through the spinal cord and the nerves that branch from it. In sensory control, impulses travel from the nerves to the brain to register sensation. In motor control, impulses move from the brain out through the nerves to direct the body to move. The most basic indication of a properly functioning nervous system is consciousness. The degree of consciousness can vary from unconscious to very alert. But at all times, our awareness of the world and control of our bodies depends on the performance of our nervous system. None of the body systems works alone. Each depends on the others for normal body function. For example, when you exercise, even moderately, your muscle cells require more oxygen to help convert food to energy. When the need for more oxygen is signaled to the brain through a complex chain reaction, the brain directs the heart and lungs to increase their work rates. This chain of events is a series of natural, coordinated responses that will occur when body systems are functioning normally. But what happens when the body does not function normally? What if someone is injured or becomes seriously ill? Let's look at several possibilities. If, for some reason, the lungs stop working, oxygen will not reach the cells. Without oxygen, cells will die, beginning with the organs that are most vital to life. The heart will first beat erratically and eventually stop. The activity of the brain will progressively shut down. The other body systems will fail. Unless something is done to stop this spiraling progression, the inevitable result is death. Likewise, if the heart fails to function, the circulatory system cannot circulate oxygen-rich blood to the cells. The lungs will fail to function, and breathing will stop. Other vital organs will also stop functioning. An injury to the blood vessels can cause severe bleeding. Severe, uncontrolled bleeding is also a life-threatening emergency. Some illnesses or injuries to the head or spine can disrupt the nervous system. Serious conditions affecting the brain will result in changes in levels of consciousness. Certain critical conditions can cause breathing and the heart to stop. When the body experiences injury or sudden illness, its natural response is to try to maintain an adequate flow of oxygen-rich blood to the vital organs. If the condition is serious and the body cannot compensate for the disruption of normal function, the victim enters a life-threatening condition called shock. Shock is the inability of the circulatory system to deliver oxygen-rich blood to all parts of the body. Without oxygen, vital organs will quickly fail. Once the progression of shock occurs, the only hope for survival is advanced medical help. That is why the care you give is so important. The primary purpose of emergency care is to delay the onset or minimize the effects of shock. But to learn to recognize the early signals of life-threatening emergencies, you must first know how a healthy system functions. That is the focus of this lesson. The more you understand the proper role of each body system, the better prepared you will be to recognize emergency signals and administer life-saving emergency care.
Are you okay?
A primary survey will help you determine whether a victim has any life-threatening conditions. You should be able to answer these basic questions. Is the victim conscious? Does he have an open airway? Is he breathing? Does he have a pulse? Is he bleeding severely? To do a primary survey, follow these steps. Consciousness.
Are you okay? Can you hear me?
Check for breathing. Check for pulse. And check for severe bleeding. Determining a person's condition may be as simple as talking with them. For instance, if she is able to speak to you, you know that she is conscious, is breathing, and has a pulse. Be sure to check for severe bleeding. But if the victim appears to be unconscious, follow these steps to determine his condition. First, check for consciousness. Tap or gently shake the victim and shout.
Are you okay? Can you hear me?
If the person does not respond, check for breathing. If the victim is not breathing, or you can't tell if the victim is breathing, roll him onto his back. Support the head and neck and gently roll the victim, keeping the head in line with the spine. Tilt the head back and lift the chin to open the airway. Recheck breathing. Look, listen, and feel for about 5 seconds. If he is not breathing, give 2 slow breaths. You will learn the correct method for giving breaths later in this course. Next, check for a pulse. Locate the Adam's apple. Slide your fingers toward you and down into the groove of the neck. Check for a pulse for 5 to 10 seconds. You may not feel a pulse right away if the pulse is slow and weak. Next, check for severe bleeding. Look carefully from head to toe. The care you provide will depend on what conditions you find during the primary survey. When doing a primary survey on a child or infant, follow the same basic steps, but you may need to modify the way you check for breathing and pulse. For example, you probably won't need to tilt the head as far back in order to open the airway. Here, you can see the difference between the amount of head tilt you might use for a child compared to the amount you might use for an adult. If your breaths do not go in, tilt the head back further to open the airway. Check a child's pulse in the same place that you check an adult's, using the carotid artery in the neck. For an infant, you'll need to tilt the head back even less to open the airway. Here, you can see the difference between the amount of head tilt you might use for an infant compared to a child and an adult. Check an infant's brachial pulse on the inside of the upper arm, between the elbow and shoulder. Press gently until you feel the pulse. In review, to perform a primary survey, follow these steps. Check for consciousness.
Are you okay? Can you hear me?
Check for breathing. If you can't tell, roll the victim, open the airway, and check breathing again. Then, check for pulse and check for severe bleeding. If the victim is able to talk to you, you know she is conscious, breathing, and has a pulse. The primary survey helps you determine if a victim has any life-threatening conditions and what care you will give.
If, during the primary survey, you find the victim is not breathing, give 2 slow breaths. Check for a pulse. And check for severe bleeding. If the victim has a pulse and is not breathing, you'll have to breathe for her. This technique is called rescue breathing. Give 1 slow breath about every 5 seconds. Recheck pulse and breathing about every minute.
You okay? Can you hear me?
An important step of the primary survey is to check for breathing. You learn that if a victim is not breathing, to give 2 slow breaths. Keep the victim's head tilted back and pinch the nose shut. Seal your lips around the mouth and breathe into the victim. Each breath should last about 1.5 seconds. Pause between breaths only long enough to let air escape. Next, check for a pulse. Feel for the pulse for 5 to 10 seconds. And check for severe bleeding. If the victim is not breathing and has a pulse, begin rescue breathing. Give 1 slow breath about every 5 seconds. Continue giving breaths for about 1 minute. Watch the chest to see that your breaths are going in. The chest should rise gently with each breath. Avoid breathing in too hard or too long so that the air goes into the lungs and not into the stomach. Recheck pulse and breathing about every minute. Feel for the pulse for about 5 seconds. Look, listen, and feel for breathing. If the person has a pulse but is still not breathing, continue rescue breathing. 1 slow breath about every 5 seconds. When breathing for a child, follow the same basic steps as an adult. But remember, the head is tilted back only far enough to allow your breaths to go in. Breathe for a child at a slightly faster rate than you would for an adult. Give 1 slow breath about every 3 seconds. Breathe only until you see the chest gently rise. For an infant, the head is tilted back only slightly. Seal your lips over the infant's mouth and nose. Give 1 slow breath every 3 seconds. Breathe only until you see the chest rise. When you suspect that a victim has an injury to the head or spine, try to open the airway using only a chin lift, because tilting the head back could cause further injury. If your breaths won't go in, try a 2-handed jaw thrust. Brace your elbows for support. Place your thumbs on the victim's cheekbones and your fingers under the angles of the jaw. Without tilting the head, lift the jaw to open the airway. Now watch the jaw thrust again. Use your cheek to seal the nose while giving breaths. If you still can't get air in, tilt the head back only far enough to allow your breaths to go in. To review, if you determine that a person is not breathing, give 2 slow breaths. Check for a pulse. And check for severe bleeding. If the person has a pulse but is still not breathing, begin rescue breathing. Give 1 slow breath about every 5 seconds. Recheck pulse and breathing about every minute. For a child, give 1 breath about every 3 seconds. For an infant, seal your lips over the mouth and nose. Give 1 breath about every 3 seconds. If you suspect an injury to the head or spine, do not tilt the head back. Use a chin lift to open the airway. If your breaths won't go in, use a 2-handed jaw thrust.
Annie, can you hear me? Annie?
You have already learned that if, during the primary survey, you find that the victim is not breathing, give the victim 2 slow breaths. If the breaths do not go in, the airway may be obstructed. Follow these steps. Retilt the victim's head and try breaths again. If breaths still do not go in, give up to 5 abdominal thrusts. Do a finger sweep. Open the airway and give 2 breaths. If the breaths still do not go in, retilt the head and try breaths again. If these breaths do not go in, repeat the steps.
Annie, can you hear me? Annie?
If you find an unconscious victim who is not breathing, and your first 2 breaths do not go in, retilt the victim's head and try breaths again. This time, tilt the head farther back. If your breaths still do not go in, assume that the victim has an obstructed airway. Place the heel of one hand against the middle of the victim's abdomen, just above the navel. Place your other hand directly on top of the first and give up to 5 abdominal thrusts. Press into the abdomen with quick upward thrusts. Move to the head and do a finger sweep. To do a finger sweep, grasp both the tongue and lower jaw between your thumb and fingers and lift the jaw. Slide your index finger down the inside of the cheek to the base of the tongue. Use a hooking motion to sweep the object out. After the finger sweep, open the airway and give 2 slow breaths. Each breath should last about 1.5 seconds. Watch the victim's chest to see if your breaths are going in. If your breaths still do not go in, retilt the head and try breaths again. If these breaths do not go in, repeat the steps. Repeat the abdominal thrusts, finger sweep, and breaths until the obstruction is removed, until the person starts to breathe or cough on her own, or until more advanced medical personnel arrive and take over. If your breaths do go in, continue care as needed. If you find that an unconscious child has an obstructed airway, follow the same steps as you would for an unconscious adult, but you should not use as much force when giving abdominal thrusts, because too much force may cause unnecessary internal injuries to a child. Also, use a finger sweep to remove an object only if you can see the object. To review, when your primary survey reveals that a victim is not breathing and your first 2 breaths do not go in, assume that the airway is obstructed. Retilt the victim's head and try breaths again. If breaths still do not go in, give up to 5 abdominal thrusts. Do a finger sweep. Open the airway and give 2 slow breaths. If the breaths still do not go in, retilt the head and try breaths again. If these breaths do not go in, repeat the steps. Continue the sequence, thrusts, finger sweep, and breaths, until the obstruction is removed, until the victim begins to breathe or cough, or until more advanced medical personnel arrive and take over. If your breaths do go in, continue care as needed. For a child, use less force when giving abdominal thrusts, and use a finger sweep only if you can see the object. When a conscious person can't speak, cough, or breathe, the airway may be obstructed. Follow these steps. Determine whether the person is choking.
Are you okay? Are you choking?
And if she is choking, give abdominal thrusts. If you suspect that a conscious person has an obstructed airway, determine whether the victim is choking.
Are you choking?
Stand behind the victim, wrap your arms around her waist, and find the navel. Make a fist with your other hand and place the thumb side of the fist against the middle of the victim's abdomen, just above the navel. Grasp the fist with your other hand and give abdominal thrusts to clear the obstruction. Press into the victim's abdomen with quick upward thrusts. Each thrust should be a separate attempt to dislodge the object. Repeat the abdominal thrusts until the object is coughed up, the victim starts to breathe or cough forcefully on her own, or until more advanced medical personnel arrive and take over. If the victim loses consciousness, gently lower her to the ground and use the technique you learned for an unconscious victim. When you determine that a conscious child has an obstructed airway, follow the same steps you perform on an adult, but you may have to adjust your height depending on the size of the child. Use less force with each thrust. Thrusting too hard may cause internal injuries to a child. To review, if you suspect that a conscious adult or child has an obstructed airway, first, determine whether the victim is choking.
Are you choking?
If she is choking, give abdominal thrusts until the object is dislodged, or the victim can breathe or cough forcefully. When giving abdominal thrusts to a child, adjust your height and use less force.
Baby? Baby?
If, during the primary survey, you determine that an unconscious infant is not breathing, give 2 slow breaths.
If the breaths do not go in, the airway may be obstructed. Retilt the infant's head and try breaths again. If the breaths still do not go in, give 5 back blows. Then, give 5 chest thrusts. Do a foreign body check. If you see the object, sweep it out. Open the airway and give 2 slow breaths. If the breaths still do not go in, retilt the head and try breaths. If these breaths do not go in, repeat the steps.
During the primary survey, if your first 2 breaths do not go in, retilt the infant's head and try breaths again. If these breaths do not go in, position the infant face down on your forearm and lower your forearm to your thigh. The infant's head should be lower than the chest. Using the heel of your hand, give 5 back blows between the infant's shoulder blades. Then, using both arms to securely hold the infant, turn her face up onto the opposite forearm. Lower your arm onto your thigh and locate the correct position for chest thrusts. Imagine a line running across the infant's chest between the nipples. Place your ring finger on the sternum just under this line. Place your next 2 fingers on the chest and raise the ring finger. Give 5 chest thrusts. Compress the sternum about 1 inch. Next, do a foreign body check. Grasp the infant's tongue and lower jaw and lift the jaw. If you don't see the object, open the airway and give 2 slow breaths. If the breaths still don't go in, retilt the head and try breaths again. If these breaths do not go in, continue with back blows and chest thrusts. Each back blow and each thrust should be a separate attempt to dislodge the object from the airway. If, during a foreign body check, you see the object, slide your little finger down the inside of the cheek to the base of the tongue. Use a hooking motion to try to sweep the object out. Then, open the airway and give 2 slow breaths. If your breaths still do not go in, retilt the head and try breaths again. If these breaths do not go in, continue to repeat back blows, chest thrusts, foreign body check, and breaths until the obstruction is removed. Until the infant starts to breathe, cry, or cough on his own, or until more advanced medical personnel arrive and take over. If your breaths do go in, check the pulse and continue care as needed. If the infant is conscious and choking, give back blows and chest thrusts until the object is coughed up, until the infant starts to breathe, cry, or cough forcefully, or until more advanced medical personnel arrive and take over. There is no need to use a foreign body check or a finger sweep on a conscious infant.
Baby? Baby?
To review, when you determine that an unconscious infant is not breathing and your first 2 breaths don't go in, assume that the airway is obstructed. Retilt the infant's head and try breaths again. If the breaths still do not go in, give 5 back blows, then give 5 chest thrusts. Do a foreign body check. If you see the object, sweep it out. Open the airway and give 2 slow breaths. If the breaths still do not go in, retilt the head and try breaths again. If these breaths do not go in, repeat the steps. Continue back blows, chest thrusts, foreign body check, and breaths until the obstruction is removed. Until the infant can breathe, cry, or cough forcefully on her own, or until more advanced medical personnel arrive and take over. If your breaths do go in, continue care as needed. If an infant with an obstructed airway is conscious, give back blows and chest thrusts, but eliminate the foreign body check and breaths.
A resuscitation mask can be used during rescue breathing to reduce the risk of disease transmission. Although resuscitation masks vary in size and shape, all have common features. A pliable rim, which helps provide a good seal around the victim's nose and mouth, a clear dome, and a one-way valve. Some masks have inlets for attaching supplemental oxygen. Some come in different sizes to fit adults, children, and infants. To use a resuscitation mask, follow these steps. Assemble the mask. Position the mask. Seal the mask and open the airway. And breathe for the victim. To begin, assemble the mask. Attach the one-way valve. Kneel behind the victim's head and position the mask. Place the rim between the lower lip and chin and lower the mask until it covers the mouth and nose. To seal the mask and open the airway, place your thumbs on each side of the mask. Slide your fingers into position behind the angles of the jaw. Apply downward pressure with your thumbs. Lift the jaw and tilt the head back to open the airway. With practice, this will become a fluid motion, like this. Breathe for the victim. Give one slow breath about every 5 seconds. Watch the victim's chest to see that air goes in. It should rise gently with each breath. Here you can see the one-way valve working. It opens to let your breath in and closes when air escapes from the victim. This reduces the risk of disease transmission. If you suspect that the victim has an injury to the head or spine, use the two-handed jaw thrust to open the airway. Position the mask. Place your thumbs on either side of the mask and your fingers under the angles of the jaw. Seal the mask by pressing down with your thumbs. Without tilting the head back, lift the jaw with your fingers to open the airway. If your breaths won't go in, tilt the head back just enough to allow your breaths to go in. In some cases, you'll need to be positioned at the victim's side. A single rescuer doing CPR is one example. As before, position the mask over the mouth and nose. With your thumbs and index fingers, form a triangle over the mask. Apply even pressure around the entire mask to create an airtight seal. Place the second, third, and fourth fingers of one hand under the jaw. The palm of your other hand rests on the victim's forehead. Lift the jaw and tilt the head back to open the airway, and breathe for the victim. Leave the mask in place when you move to the chest for compressions. In review, to use a resuscitation mask, assemble the mask, position the mask, seal the mask and open the airway, and breathe for the victim. If you suspect an injury to the head or spine, use the two-handed jaw thrust. If you are at the victim's side, modify your hand position.
A bag valve mask resuscitator, also called a BVM, is used for rescue breathing. They're commonly designed with three parts that can be easily assembled: a bag, a valve, and a mask. Other types are disposable and come with the valve already attached. To ensure that adequate ventilations are given, a BVM is most efficient when used by two rescuers: one to hold the mask in position, keeping the airway open, and one to squeeze the bag. Follow these basic steps. Assemble the BVM, position the mask, seal the mask and open the airway, and begin ventilations. To begin, assemble the BVM. Attach the valve to the bag. Then attach the mask to the valve. Next, position the mask. Place the mask so that it covers the victim's mouth and nose. Then, seal the mask and open the airway. The second rescuer then begins ventilations. Squeeze the bag smoothly until the victim's chest gently rises. Give one slow ventilation about every 5 seconds. Watch the victim's chest to make sure that air is going in. If a resuscitation mask is already in use when a BVM becomes available, the bag and valve can be attached directly to that mask without breaking the seal or closing the airway. In review, to use a bag valve resuscitation mask, assemble the BVM, position the mask, seal the mask and open the airway, and begin ventilations.
Each year, approximately 500,000 people die of a heart attack, most within 2 hours of the onset of the signals.
Thank you. Well, Kathy really enjoyed the party. Of course, you should have seen her face when the door opened. It was worth its weight in gold. We're getting away this weekend so she can get some rest.
Oh, that's really wonderful. And she's gonna love you forever.
If I'm lucky. If I'm lucky. Are you done?
Almost. Yep, there you go.
Ah, thank you.
Jack? Jack? Here you go.
Thank you.
Hey, Jack, you got the news hound after you again.
Jack, there's been a bit of a change tonight. We want to lead with a story about the tornado in Harper County since we have somebody out there in the satellite van. There's also a couple of long reports tonight, one on the department store layoffs and some visiting circus. It's been really a slow news day. You know, I just got off the phone with... Hey, you okay?
Fine. It's just, I guess I just ate something that didn't agree with me.
You gotta go on soon. You gonna make it?
I'll be fine.
Hey, Janet, can you talk to Susan for a minute?
I was at the game. Yeah, sure was. Did you have an extra ticket and you didn't come? Great crowd, Oh, okay. I'll make sure you're fine. Hey, Jack, did you catch that game last night?
Jack?
Hi, Jack. Seems it's been another interesting day in the world again. I had a heck of a time getting back from the city hall. Jack.
You got 5 minutes, folks. 5 minutes.
Peter, can you excuse me for a minute? I'll be right back. Grab my papers, will you?
What happened?
Not good.
No, I'm...
Jack, are you sure you're gonna be okay?
I'm fine. Let's get on with it.
1 minute, folks. 1 minute.
Okay, I've looked at this. Let's go.
Okay, I'll be right back there.
Music's up. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3.
Good evening. I'm Susan Sheldon.
And I'm Jack Crane. Welcome to Live at 5. In the news tonight, Harper County residents were given a rude awakening by Mother Nature today. Around 4 a.m., a tornado sped through the county, playing its own game of jump rope. Tom Tildell has the report.
The sudden rainfall in the valley caused the Silver Creek to overflow its banks, resulting in minor flooding.
Camera 2, steady on 7.
Local Red Cross volunteers were called in to help out in the area.
Jeez, what's the matter with Jack?
Minor damage.
He's sweating so bad. He usually doesn't do that. Jack, do we need to pull you out of there?
$5,000. For Live at 5, this is Tom Tildell reporting.
Fortunately, there are no reported casualties from the storm. At least 2 businesses suffered damage from a fire on Sycamore Street. Flames and heavy smoke were pouring from the buildings when firefighters arrived. The buildings housed a clothing store and novelty shop. Shop owners say they don't have fire insurance. The cause of the blaze is unknown.
Other department stores.
He does not look good. This is not indigestion. Susan, call a commercial break.
And Sedgwick's are facing
Serious layoffs. That and more, coming up next on Live at 5. Jack, you don't look good.
I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
Jack, we're gonna get you off the set. You can't go on like this.
No, Janet, the rest of the news.
Susan's got it.
Don't worry, Jack. You don't feel well.
We can cover. Come on, Jack.
I apologize, everyone. I guess I'm not feeling well enough. I'm having trouble breathing.
Maybe you should go lie down, Jack.
There's a sofa on the morning set right around the wall. I'll help.
Get him some water.
Susan, prompt her too.
Out of commercial, 5, 4, 3.
We seem to be experiencing some difficulties here. Jack has been taken ill. He is being taken care of, and we will keep you informed at the end of the newscast. The CEO of Redstone's announced last...
Okay, Jack, take it easy.
Let me get my jacket off.
Okay, watch your step. Let's lay down here on the couch.
My chest. There's this pain, like a squeezing.
Should we call an ambulance?
Oh, no ambulance. Call my doctor. Dr. Berger. The number's in my Rolodex.
Take it easy, buddy.
Doctor's office.
Hello. Yes, is Dr. Berger in?
He's gone for the day.
Can he be reached?
I can page him. What's the problem?
I'm calling for Jack Crane, a patient of his. He's sick. I'm afraid it could be his heart.
Is he having any pain in his chest or trouble breathing?
Yes?
Okay, hang up and call 911 right away. I'll page Dr. Berger. Emergency line. How can I help you?
Yes. Hello. We need an ambulance.
What's the problem, ma'am?
It's my coworker. He's having trouble breathing and he's got chest pains. I'm afraid it could be his heart. And...
Okay, ma'am. Calm down. An ambulance is on the way. What's your name?
Janet Mendez.
You're calling from 522-3466.
Place the heel of your other hand on the center of the sternum, just above your index finger. Remove your fingers from the notch and place this hand on top of the other. Keep your fingers off the chest. Lean forward, position your shoulders over your hands, and give 15 compressions in about 10 seconds.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, 10 and 11.
When you
and
complete
12
15 compressions, move to the victim's head, open the airway, and give 2 slow breaths, each lasting about 1.5 seconds. Repeat the compression and breathing cycles.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5
Compress the
and
sternum
6
about
and
2
7
inches.
and 8, 9 and
Keep
10
the heel of your
and
hand
11
in
and 12
contact with the
and
chest
13
at all
and 14
times.
and 15.
When giving breaths, watch to see that your breaths are going in.
One and 2 and 3 and 4
Each compression
and
is a
5
distinct
and
motion,
6
down
and 7
and up.
and 8,
Keep the
9
motion
and
smooth.
10 and 11 and 12, 13 and 14 and 15. One and 2 and 3 and
Counting
4
out
and
loud
5
will help you
and 6
maintain
and
an
7
even
and
pace
8
and rhythm.
9 and 10, 11 and 12 and 13, 14 and 15.
After about 1 minute of compressions and breaths, recheck pulse and breathing. Feel for the pulse for about 5 seconds. If there is still no pulse, continue compression and breathing cycles.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, 9 and 10 and 11 and 12 and 13 and 14 and 15.
If when you give a breath, the chest does not rise, tilt the head back further to open the airway. Once you start CPR, continue until you are relieved by another trained person, until you are exhausted, until you feel a pulse, or until more advanced medical personnel arrive and take over. Recheck pulse and breathing every few minutes. To review, if a victim is not breathing and has no pulse, do CPR. Find your hand position.
1 and 2 and 3.
Give
and
15
4
compressions.
And 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and 11 and 12, 13 and 14 and 15.
Give 2 slow breaths.
12 and 13 and 14
And repeat the
15.
compression and breathing cycles. After about 1 minute, recheck pulse and breathing. If the victim still has no pulse, continue compression and breathing cycles.
And 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, 9 and 10.
Recheck
and
the
11
pulse
and
every few
12,
minutes.
13 and 14 and 15.
If you determine that a child is not breathing and has no pulse, check for severe bleeding and begin CPR. Find your hand position. Give 5
1,
compressions.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Give 1 slow breath.
4, 5.
And repeat compression and breathing cycles.
1, 2.
After about 1 minute, recheck pulse and breathing.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
If the child still does not have a pulse and is not breathing, continue compression and breathing cycles.
1, 2, 3.
To perform CPR on a child, keep the airway open with one hand and with the other, find your hand position. Locate the notch at the end of the sternum. Place the heel of your hand on the sternum just above the notch. Lean forward to position your shoulders over your hands and give 5 compressions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Give 1 slow breath. Then repeat the compression
1,
and breathing
2,
cycles.
3, 4, 5.
Do 5 compressions in about 3 seconds.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Watch to see that each breath goes in.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Maintaining the head tilt will
1,
help save time
3,
between
4,
compressions and
5.
breaths. Keep your arms
1,
straight and the
2,
down and
3,
up motion
4,
smooth.
5.
Compress the sternum 1 to 1.5
1, 2,
inches.
3, 4, 5.
If you give a breath and the chest does not rise, tilt the head further back to open the airway.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, 2, 3, 4, 5.
After about 1 minute, recheck pulse and breathing for about 5 seconds. If the child still does not have a pulse and is not breathing, continue compression and breathing cycles.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Once you start CPR, continue until you are relieved by another trained person, until you are exhausted, or until more advanced medical personnel arrive and take over.
1,
Check for a pulse every few minutes.
5.
If at any time you feel a pulse, stop CPR and continue care.
1, 2, 3.
To review, if you determine that a child is not breathing and has no pulse, check for severe bleeding and begin CPR. Find your hand position. Give 5 compressions.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Give 1 slow breath.
4, 5.
And repeat compression and breathing cycles.
1, 2.
After about 1 minute, recheck pulse and breathing. If the child still has no pulse, continue compression and breathing cycles.
1, 2, 3.
If during the primary survey you find that an infant is not breathing and has no pulse, check for severe bleeding and begin CPR. Find your hand position. Give 5 compressions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Give 1 slow breath.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And repeat compression and breathing cycles.
1, 2, 3.
After about 1 minute, recheck pulse. If the infant still does not have a pulse and is not breathing, Continue compression and breathing cycles.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
To perform CPR on an infant, keep the airway open with one hand. With your other hand, find your hand position. Imagine a line running across the chest connecting the nipples. Place your index finger on the sternum just below this line. Place your next two fingers on the chest and raise your index finger. If you feel the notch at the end of the sternum, move your fingers up a little bit. Position your hand over your fingers and give 5 compressions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Give 1 slow breath.
1, 2, 3.
Repeat
4,
the compression
5.
and breathing cycles.
1, 2, 3.
Do
4,
5 compressions in about 3 seconds.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Counting out loud will help you keep the correct pace and rhythm.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Maintain finger contact with the chest when you
2,
give a breath.
3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Keep the down and up motion
1,
smooth.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Compress the sternum about 1 inch.
2, 3, 4, 5.
If the chest does not rise, tilt the head further back to help open the airway.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
After about 1 minute, recheck the pulse for about 5 seconds. If there is still no pulse, continue compression and breathing cycles.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Check the pulse every few minutes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
To review, if you determine that an infant is not breathing and has no pulse, check for severe bleeding and begin CPR. Find your hand position. Give 5 compressions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Give 1 slow breath.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And repeat compression and breathing cycles.
1, 2, 3.
After about 1 minute, recheck the pulse. If the infant
1,
still has
2,
no pulse,
3,
continue
4, 5.
compression and breathing cycles.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
When there are 2 rescuers available to perform CPR, one acts as a ventilator giving breaths and one as a compressor doing chest compressions. To perform 2 rescuer CPR, follow these steps. Complete the primary survey. Find your hand position and give 5 compressions.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
Give 1 slow breath and continue
1,
CPR.
2, 3 and 4 and 5. And 4 and 5.
Pulse check.
After about 1 minute, recheck pulse and breathing. To begin 2 rescuer CPR, complete the primary survey.
Can you hear me?
Check for consciousness. Open the airway and check for breathing. If there is no breathing, give 2 slow breaths then check for a pulse. The other rescuer finds her hand position.
No pulse. Begin CPR.
Give 5 compressions in about 4 seconds.
4 and 5.
Give 1 slow breath
1
and continue CPR. Counting out loud helps both rescuers work together.
2 and 3 and 4 and 5. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
Periodically, check the effectiveness of CPR by feeling for a pulse during compressions.
1 and 2 and
At the
3
end of the
and
first
4 and
minute,
5.
Pulse check.
recheck pulse and breathing for about 5 seconds.
No pulse, continue CPR.
1 and 2 and 3.
Recheck the pulse every few minutes.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
When you need to change positions during two rescuer CPR, follow these steps. Call for a position change by using the word change in place of the word 1 in a compression cycle.
Change in 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
Then, change positions. Both rescuers continue in these positions until one of them gets tired.
No pulse, continue CPR.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
Now watch the change again, following the rescuer on the left as she moves from the chest to the head.
Change in 2
First,
and 3
she
and
completes
4
the
and
compression
5.
cycle, then moves quickly to the head and checks pulse. If the victim has no pulse, she gives the command to continue CPR.
No pulse, continue CPR.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
Watch the change again following the rescuer on the right.
Change in 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
He completes one breath, moves quickly to the chest, finds his hand position, and waits for the signal to begin.
No pulse, continue CPR.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
Watch the change once more and notice how both rescuers coordinate their movements.
Change in 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
After the change, continue CPR with cycles of 5 compressions and 1 breath.
No pulse, continue CPR.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
To review, when two rescuers are performing CPR together, follow these steps. Complete the primary survey. Find your hand position and give 5 compressions.
1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
Give 1 slow breath, then continue CPR.
3, 4 and 5. 3 and
After
4.
about 1 minute,
Pulse check.
recheck pulse and breathing. If two rescuers need to change positions, call for a position change.
Change in 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
Then change positions and continue CPR.
No pulse, continue CPR.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.